Coffee is one of the world's most traded agricultural commodities, but as world demand continues to rise, the Agriculture Department says Philippine yields have declined. Nestlé is helping itself by helping farmers, give them better seedlings and modern methods. With us tonight, Nestlé Philippines Chairman John Miller and Gina Mangalindan, a participant in the program. John, Gina, thank you very much for joining us here.
Good evening, Coco.
Okay, about 2 years ago, Nestlé worldwide came up with something called the Nescafe Plan, 500 million Swiss franc program over, is it a decade?
Yeah, that's right.
And in the Philippines, the way that's going to be implemented, the way it's being implemented, is you're trying to create new coffee farmers to help supply Nestle and Nescafe. How is that working? How is that different from the way you used to do business here?
Well, Coco, our coffee project is part of what we talk about as creating shared value, which is really central to our business model. And that really is involved with this idea that for a business to do well in a sustained way over a long period of time, the society in which we operate also has to do well. And we identified coffee, which of course for us is a crucial raw material, as really central to this effort. So with that thought in mind, we decided that we really wanted to partner in a meaningful sense with coffee growers like Gina to really breathe life into the agrarian economy, particularly in this sector. And of course, excuse me, that gives us the opportunity to buy more of this vital raw material locally here in the Philippines.
So what you do here is that you try to develop these better coffee seedlings. You sell it to them, I gather, at cost.
That's correct.
Give them some training. And then 18 months later, if they want to sell it to you, they can sell it to you. How is that different from the way business used to be done?
Well, I think, going way back, I think this kind of supply situation was very much, as I would describe it, as transactional, mainly meaning that we would go out and we would source out coffee from whoever had coffee available. The new model is very much to say, how can we work together in partnership with coffee growers to supply them with the ideal plant, developed so that it is absolutely suited to the Philippine environment, to supply the agrarian knowledge and the knowledge about fertilization, so that we really do develop the crop in a positive and a sustainable way. And the other element, of course, apart from the production side, is the buying side. And so what we've done is to organize ourselves so that we have buying stations. At the moment we have 8 across the country, so that the farmer doesn't have to bring their crop all the way down to Cagayan de Oro, where our factory is, but they can take it to a local buying station. They can sell their product at world market prices and get paid within 8 banking hours.
Gina, you farm in Bataan. You've been farming since the 1990s. How have things changed because of the Nescafe plan?
A lot of change happened when Nestle came. Actually, it is a blessing that they came, because during that time, the farmers lost the interest in planting coffee. Because actually Bataan is an extension of Batangas and Cavite farmers who migrated there, bringing their coffee, the old types of coffee. So after harvest, they normally transport the beans with the hull to Cavite and Batangas, because that's the places where they process the coffee. And the buying station is also near that area. So it's a loss of profit for the farmers.
Yeah.
So nobody wants to do coffee anymore because it's so far and so, laborious and so on. So when these people from Nestle came, they enlightened the people. Oh, guys, do it again. We will help you. And we said, how can you help? We can establish any plantation anywhere. The land and the farmers are ready, because we can offer the buying station also.
Right. In your case, the buying station is in Batangas.
In Cavite.
Sorry, in Cavite.
Yeah.
That's still a ways from Bataan, right?
But there's a big difference still, because they're offering it at a price very close to the world price.
Okay.
That's the best thing that happened to the farmers. We're not trading to middlemen and so on. We know exactly the price. So when we go to the buying stations, we know exactly the price. We just have to get our product to a premium or a grade 2. That's the thing. But if we pass that, then we're sure of the price we will get, and get the payment right there and then in the afternoon.
John, what about this is CSR, corporate social responsibility, and how much of this is just pure business?
Well, we make a distinction between CSV, creating shared value, and CSR. We see there's a great role for charitable donations. That will always be very, very important, and we see a lot of that in the Philippines. What we're talking about is a model which we believe is truly sustainable, a win-win, whereby a business really invests in the local community, in this case in coffee, to facilitate a steady flow of a very, very important raw material, which at the same time creates a livelihood for a large number of stakeholders. And we really see this as a symbiotic relationship, a win-win, call it what you will, but one which is allows all parties to prosper, but most of all is sustainable into the long term.
How much have you budgeted for this program in the Philippines?
Well, this is very much a long-term commitment, and we look forward to 2020. So, for example, we're going to be investing now about 1.3 billion pesos in training, in the supply of crops, in more agronomists to help our partners like Gina, so that this really does become a project which stretches way beyond 2020.
Right. How do you see it developing over the next few years for you, Gina? Because you've expanded from a couple of hectares to not just yourself, but also the community is much larger now.
Because the program is available. It is of advantage to the farmers, to the communities, because like us, we don't have problem on the prices. For the last 15 or 20 years, it's quite stable at 85 to 120 peso per kilo. We don't have problem in the buying station because they told us that if we meet the quota to start the buying station, they will put up the buying station in Bataan. So what we did there, we are expanding because we want the buying station to be set in Bataan
rather than Cavite.
Yeah. And then the third thing that's very important for their program, they're doing the quality planting material. It is a material product of good research. So take advantage that Nestlé started mapping all those coffee and then brought it to the country and propagated it for distribution to the coffee farmers of the Philippines.
How many participants do you have in this program, John?
Well, over the last few years, we've trained 15,000 farmers. We feel the estimate of the total community is about 30,000 farmers. But going forward, and this is really all about the future, we look to train another 90,000 farmers between today and 2020.
And the idea here is that you want to create new farmers, not just essentially take them away from the traders.
That's absolutely right. We need to expand the total supply of coffee here in the Philippines.
How many percent of coffee drunk in this country comes from this country?
Well, in our case, we're buying about 30 to 35% of our requirements locally, which means obviously the rest we are having to import at the moment. So call it 70-30. We look to the day when we can buy at least 70% of our coffee beans locally.
How long do you think it'll take before we get there?
Well, we're trying to get there before 2020.
That's in 8 years.
8 years.
You get to 70%.
Yep, that's our ambition.
What are the prospects for that?
I'm very, very bullish, I have to say. I think the great thing about coffee is it's an ideal crop for the Philippines. At the moment, the majority of the crop is being grown down in Mindanao, but of course it's also being grown in Luzon as well, and Bataan. So it's a great crop wherever you happen to be, you can grow coffee. All you need is the right elevation.
Let's talk about how you've expanded over the last more than 10 years. You started with how many hectares?
I started with 5, and then
And by that time when you started, your neighbors were not planting coffee anymore?
They planted, but they're not using the new variety, the high-yielding varieties.
Okay.
So I got it in 1999, in year 2000. So Bataan is actually using the high-yielding varieties. So we're not cutting the old ones. We're not killing the old ones. We're just adding the new varieties to our plantations.
Why is it important for Nestlé to produce more of the coffee locally, to use more locally produced coffee?
Well, I think the idea of Philippine coffee for Philippine consumers is a very compelling one. But perhaps even more importantly, the quality of Philippine coffee is amongst the best in the world. Indeed, the yield that we get from the Filipino coffee bean is better than that we derive from other sources. So again, from a business point of view, it's more productive to use the local bean rather than the imported bean.
Is there any prospect for export at some point?
Well, it's a nice thought. We have a large and prospering market here. My ambition is to supply that local market first. But I think it's important to have a vision, to have a dream, and why not? One day it would be great to see the Philippines as a net exporter.
Gina, what quota do you need to hit before they put a buying station near you?
Actually, before it's 100 now, they're lowering it to like 60, 70. We're very close to that.
Where are you now?
Where actually Bataan is producing 80, but some of it are still being transported to Batangas and Cavite. But the community can produce 30 to 40. So
Okay.
very close. Last year we expanded 30 hectares. We're assuming additional 30 tons.
Yeah.
This year we expanded another 40 hectares. So we're assuming another 40 tons. So in 2 years' time or 3, the buying station will be there. I hope.
And John,
I hope, John.
Music to my ears.
you can hasten that by lowering the quota of it. In terms of buying stations, you have 8 now. Is that going to expand?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. We are committed to trying to make it as easy as possible for our partners in coffee growing
Yeah,
to bring
thank
their
you.
quality beans to the marketplace. So that marketplace has to be closer to their doorstep.
Okay. John, Gina, thank you very much for joining us tonight.
Thank you,
Okay,
Coco.
it's a pleasure. Thank you.
Business Nightly will be right back. Please stay tuned.